Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of
Welcome.
Drinks. This time we're lucky enough to have Danielle Snell
Hello.
from
Hello.
Elit Lawyers. Thank you.
Hi
Welcome.
guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to see you guys.
Likewise.
Yeah.
We're changing up a bit today. We usually film on a Friday, but today I think it's a Wednesday.
Yep.
Lost count.
Yeah.
Either way,
Hump day.
it's 5 p.m. somewhere. So
Mm,
very good. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Yep.
you for having me.
that's nice.
It is
Cool.
nice.
So we usually start off with origin story. We met each other a long time ago, about 20 years ago, but go back as far as you'd like and as far as you're comfortable.
Yes.
It helps give people context over what makes you you and
Okay.
how
Yeah.
you got here.
Okay. Yeah. We've been underage. Known each other from way under 18. Graduated. Did high school.
Yeah.
Went and did a journalism degree.
Mhm.
Wanted to become a broadcast journalist.
Right.
But I did that at RMIT, but then found that I had to go to the country, as many journalists do, to go and work at regional television. I was a bit of
Their
a
stripes.
own their stripes,
Right.
still a bit of a city girl,
Yeah.
and was wanting to stay in town and go out and so forth. Always liked debating and the law.
Right.
So applied to do a law degree and got in. So decided, okay, I'll back to back. So finished journalism degree, went to do law, as you do. And then I effectively took a graduate position, back then it was called article clerk, in a law firm, and ended up in private practice, a law firm for the next 14 years, and travelled across a number of sort of top tier to mid tier firms, and worked in commercial litigation.
Did you know that was what you wanted to do
Yeah, look,
during school? What drove you towards?
I was always a
Debater? You're always fighting?
always fighting, always
No,
confrontational.
That's not right.
Exactly right. And my little 3-year-old's very much female,
Yeah.
is very much like that too now. Always loved communicating, but always loved the fight, that heated fight. And so that's why I think there's obviously so many areas of law, but litigation
Yeah.
is about disputes
Yeah.
and courtroom work, and that's what drives me.
Yes.
So that's just the way it worked out that I became a litigator. I did a lot of insurance litigation work over many years where I was acting for insurance companies, acting for professionals, for example, that would get sued. So lots of professionals out there, I'm sure a number of them will be listening to this podcast, would have professional indemnity insurance.
Yeah.
And so when a claim's made against them by a client, they then submit it. So I was acting for the insurers. But alongside that, I was acting for private clients. And I always found the private client work more fulfilling because it's like business owners.
More personal.
Relationships, exactly, personable. So I was doing it alongside each other, but in more recent times, COVID hit. And I had sort of big litigation matters on foot, and with COVID, we couldn't, we weren't able to go to the courtroom anymore.
Court was closed.
Yeah.
Court was closed, so everything was virtual.
Yeah.
And so I was sort of running quite like multi-million-dollar pieces of litigation out of my dining room, and for the first time ever. And I had like barristers in different parts of the country, and everyone. We were doing it, obviously, I'm sure in your industry as well. You're already
But this was you started your business?
No, by this stage I was still at the private practice firm, and I'm doing all these cases, and it just hit me that I was like, I'm actually enjoying the law more than I've ever enjoyed it before.
Right.
Mind you, I skipped the fact that I had my first child. She's 3 now. So I did take a year off in that 14-year gap and I went to Italy, which is where both of my grandparents were born. And I lived in a little island there for 5 months with, it's called Lipari. It's in Sicily. Okay. I'm not sure if you, Aeolian Islands. No.
Furthest down I've gone is near Tripoli.
You have to go to the Sicilian food. You have to go to Sicily.
Yeah, my wife's gone to Italy several times, but I haven't. And he's gone, and I really want to go.
Yeah.
My wife's family's from in-laws' family's from Colombia.
Is that right? Okay, so you married an Italian girl. There you go. Yeah. So that was an amazing part of my life. Like, I'm so glad, especially with having COVID having hit now and
Yeah.
restricted travel. Like, I'm so grateful that I did that at the time, snuck it in. But yeah, I did find that when skip to 2020 and I'm running all this litigation and I'm doing it out of the dining room, and it was all so possible. Like it was all like instantaneous. We had electronic briefs because lots of our cases, you know, you're dealing with 500,000 documents plus, you know, so everything has to be electronic. That's right. And so I thought, well, why is it now that I'm enjoying it more than ever before? And I think it was because I was drawing closer to clients, because it's really weird, because you'd think that physically in the office, you would, when you're meeting with people, you would, and there is something to be said about meeting in person.
Do you think it's because you have more time to do that? Because there's less actual travelling to these meetings?
Somewhat. I think
Or do you think because you have to converse more than what you do in an office?
Correct. I think it's more that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I think that's the guts of it. I think there's something quite personal. Like, we were all in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Especially acting for private clients, they want like more compassion than ever before, and it's sort of a journey that they're on. And there's, you know, obviously not doing as much socially, you're in stage 4 restrictions and all that sort of thing. But I also think that there's a bit of a move from the big firms, like people are really resonating with the person that they're, especially when they're involved in litigation, it's all about trust, exactly. So it sort of dawned on me, I thought, because a lot of these big firms, as you can imagine, lots of politics and, you know.
Do you feel that in those meetings you will build a lot more trust that you would in a once-off meeting?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
very much. That rapport that you would build, that's right.
I think that definitely kind of help people.
Have you guys found that? What did you find during COVID, like in terms of
I did when I was speaking to clients, because to talk to them, sometimes you have to get in one meeting, then another meeting, you know, to solve something. And the more you talk to them, you build that little, hey, how you doing? Oh, just got my daughter here. Sorry about this. And what's she doing? You know, so you get a little bit of more personal touch.
There's an authentic
no one's pretending anything.
That's right.
You know, everyone's just going, yeah, I am here because this is what I've got. I can't go anywhere.
Exactly.
I'm in a shoebox right now and my whole family's over there.
Exactly.
You know,
there's something so powerful about that. And there's this sort of perception that I think's developed in relation to lawyers. A lot of people can find litigator lawyers like intimidating. And
100%.
There's this kind of perception that they're above the, you know, standard person, and they're not. They're people, and it's all about stories and relatability. And so I fell pregnant as well at the beginning of COVID. So I was working throughout that period pregnant. And I started to think about, as many females do, and I've seen lots of outstanding lawyers, female lawyers, that want to go off and have babies, and their practices are effectively taken away from them because they, you know, need to step out of the walk first. So I had all of that going on in my mind, and the firm that I was working at started talking to me about partnership, which was what my ultimate aim would have been. I mean, I'd been working in the law. That was sort of the final steps. And
how respect doesn't there you go. I want to be partner. And then I want to own it.
And I thought, well, if I'm going to keep my practice going, I'm only going to be able to take a very short period of time off. I'm not going to be able to take the year off that I did with my first. And I thought, well, clients are coming to me. We now have unexpected freedoms, the freedoms that COVID's created. I want to provide an electronic, progressive, dynamic service that's centred around the client and not around the outcome, because lawyers are all about win or lose, which is what we're hired to do, win. But what about the way that the client's feeling throughout the journey of this? And so I ultimately made the decision so I was 7 months pregnant, and I partnered with one of my first bosses, actually, who's totally, like, demographic wise, he's like 60, countryman, like worked in the city for many years, but he was just always a really big supporter, and we always had that synergy. And so we sort of a bit of a succession plan, so that he said, okay, let's do it. So we did. And off we went. And so we're 6 or 7 months in, and we've grown to 10 people now. And it's been really quite empowering because.
Do you find that your business model, and I was thinking about this when you were talking, you find that your business model, because you have that sort of online interaction, which can be closer to the normal going to visit an office, and the intimidation and the sort of, I don't want to ask the question because maybe I'm wrong and I might look stupid. That's out the window. The person, yeah, you know what I mean? So do you feel that people will get closure towards the end of the process more than what they do if they just come to visit you at an office once? You know what I'm trying to say?
I do see what you're saying.
Because even if I don't, let's say I'm doing a case with you and I don't win, the relationship that I have with you going through this process might create some closure for me, because it might be something that's annoying me, it's upsetting me, stressing me out.
Absolutely.
But because I've been so informed about it and I'm so comfortable about it, maybe at the end of the case, if I win, great. But if I don't, I sort of, you know what, I did what I could have done.
Absolutely. Because it's all about
more knowledge.
Absolutely.
Allows me to have more closure, I guess.
Absolutely. It's all about authenticity and transparency. And so when we're dealing with, it's often the most difficult part of one's life when they're involved in a heavy, intensive piece of litigation. Like you can imagine, like partnership disputes and director and officer type litigation, misleading and deceptive conduct claims. We're acting for a lot of businesses that have had to close down during COVID, and there's big case coming out of the High Court soon relating to being able to claim on your insurance for business interruption.
Right.
There's millions of dollars in losses, obviously, as a result of that. So we find that, this concept of big firm client, you're one of a number, you're not getting that personalised service, you're not feeling heard.
Yes.
And I think the really big thing is just your lawyer actually caring, having a genuine care about you and what you're experiencing and what the outcome of this will be.
Compassion.
Junior for the most part.
Exactly. All of that sort of stuff. So we do have offices. So we've got offices in the city. We've got an office in Brisbane, and I am finding post-COVID that lots of clients do want to meet in person, and I'm big on meeting in person. But there was just something. It might have also been we were in the middle of such an iconic. We were in the middle of a pandemic, and you're dealing, and you could deal with the point is that you could draw as close to someone during that time, a client, than you would otherwise. And I think there was something special about it in a way.
Timing plays a big part.
Timing plays a big part. That's right. So look, it was also this for me. It was going back to the having a baby situation. I was quite keen on sort of breaking through, challenging that status quo, because I just really got me fired up when partners and people that I'd speak to in law firms would be saying, it's almost like this mentality that you've just got to count time now. You're a mum. You're a mum. So you just count time, see it through. Once your kids are, older, you might be able to then
put your life on hold.
Exactly, and that's what it felt like to me.
Look, I don't understand that first of all, that mentality, because I always remember my dad doing anything, and we were sitting. He's a musician. We'll sit on top of speakers, waiting for him to do things. He was working in the garage. We'll sit there and cut some wood with him while he was making. He was a cabinet maker making. So we were more adapting to his lifestyle than the other way around.
And isn't that amazing memories for you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I always remember going to the garage while he was making things. Saying, can you please hold this hot torch? While I'm burning something. No, I'm joking. Get the nail gun here. Just hold it for a little bit.
So what would you say? I feel like we're getting there, but what would you say to anyone that's sort of at that point, not specifically in
Yeah.
I think it's widespread.
It is, yeah.
There's this social normal understanding that is the only option, you know. And of course, you've taken the proactive. I don't know if it was a tipping point or not, or if you, well, no, you're already pregnant, but being in control of your destiny by then going out and doing it yourself, you could then literally choose the hours that you were working.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'd say that not all, I mean, when you have a baby, you want to spend time with your baby too. There's no doubt about it. But there are a number of females, as you know, as the ones that are bearing children, that I've known in my life across all different industries that do want to stay in the workforce. They might want to take a short break, but they want to stay in. And workplaces need to obviously adapt to that, and a lot of them haven't adequately adapted, so that, you know, even if the mum wants to take a period of time off, they should still have processes in place where they're able to connect in with the workplace during a period of absence. Exactly.
Well,
and what's wrong with, like, I know that like the leading firms, not just law firms, but the leading companies in the space are doing it, but more around parental leave than maternity leave, because it's not always the person who gives birth that needs to stay home with the child, depending on the personality or the relationship or the deal that they've made. That's personal to them.
Exactly.
Whoever has either at that point in their life, or it's like either is at that point in their life, or has the better skills around, you know, staying home and nurturing the children for that period of time, while the other goes out and earns the money.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as like a fluid thing. So I see it as like you're in a partnership with someone, like, you know, my husband and I see it as, you know, there'll be times in my life, like at the moment I've established a law firm and I'm growing that law firm. And so I'm going through this great period of growth at the moment that, as I said, is quite empowering. And then my husband's might go through, you know, he went through something similar, say 5 years ago. And then, so it's like this thing, and you're both on this, you're in a partnership. So, well, I also have a nanny, which is quite, you know, helpful, because you need to be able to have that support.
I think COVID has allowed for that to blossom. Personally.
Oh, absolutely.
Because businesses to catch up.
It's also socialised men that were at home and were working from home, and for the first time were able to see what was going on in the household. I'm not saying that there's a generalising, like many men were working from home already, but the sheer volume of people that were at home, and it has socialised them. And I think many men loved it. Because it was challenging to be able to have to work from home, but I think that there was a lot of positive that came out of it, because they've grown closer to.
It's not gender. It's not gender specific. It's like I said before. The man could have the softer skills, the better softer skills that are more relevant to that point in the child's life.
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be that way. And you're right. Like, from a fluid sense, you know, my wife had her business that she was growing while I was employed elsewhere. And then whatever happened within our life, and then we started our businesses, as sort of
colliding
each other.
And that's something really special about that, to sort of be on this train where you're collide. But look, I just think that you know, now we've got, as I'm assuming you guys would have, that we've have lots of employees that are just deeply flexible work arrangements, and we do attract like mums and dads that want to have that deep level of flexibility. And I mean, because I have come from a top tier law firm practice, the legal profession is like still quite backward. It's one of the, you know, as compared to other industries. And the other issue that's come out because of the second wave of the Me Too movement now, which really gets me fired up, is sexual harassment in the workplace. And law firms are still one of the worst cultures that we're dealing with. And it just gets me really riled up, because it's something like 36% of females have been sexually harassed in the workplace.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of work to still be done in terms of, you know, progressing these issues and, you know, creating policies in place. And I just wanted to challenge that model.
Yeah, we've got we're asking our team now, they can come in every day if they want, but 3 days we do one there,
Okay.
but the other 2 they can choose.
That's awesome. And so you're finding that they want to take you up on that 2-day option where they stay from home?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So some of them sometimes they'll come in every day.
Yeah.
But you know they've got the option. It's
Yeah.
just I always say, and I
personal.
repeat this all the
It is
time.
personal.
Every problem and every success from a business, the variable is communication.
Yep.
And it can cause problems by not enough communication or bad delivery, and you can fix things by over communicating and doing it proactively in a positive way with empathy, etc. Right?
Absolutely.
So as long as we just have a rule that as long as we're communicating what we need to do, if it ends up being that week you stay home the whole week or you come in for a day, cool, just let us know.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we proved that not only could we survive, we thrived remotely. So for us, it's more about giving, having that in place so that we continue the human connection. And people can, well, we saw at least that if you don't sort of give them that incentive or encouragement to connect, they can easily sometimes sort of withdraw and sort of go back into their shell.
Yeah. So did you find that pre-COVID, your model, your infrastructure was already set up quite lovely because of what you do?
International anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just was a very smooth transition.
It was literally
that is amazing,
day to night.
Yeah.
Our transition was literally like.
Which I have to keep reminding Christian to put his clothes on and not keep.
Yeah, I like to walk around with my jocks at home. What do you do? It is what it is.
So where did you two meet? Did you meet at working together, or were you clients of each other?
No, through music.
Oh, through music, because you said your father. Did you say your father was a musician?
That's the political answer.
Our ex-girlfriends introduced each other. But we'll get into that. But so we started doing music together 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you play instrument? Are you DJing or playing instruments?
So I was DJing at the time.
Yeah, I thought you were DJing.
He's a musician, and he sort of approached me and sort of asked me to sort of do something together. It was more of a live type show.
Yeah.
And
So would you marry me?
And then we started working on some music together, and we're still doing it.
Are you still doing it? And what instrument do you play?
Look, my dad's a musician, so everything that I learned was by ear. So he'll go, I want you to play percussion, so I learn by ear. I want you to play the keyboard by ear. I want you to play guitar. I want you to learn the bass. So everything was by ear.
Yeah.
So I learned to dabble in all the instruments.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It just so happens coincidentally because we were talking about Italy before when my grandparents were. So my grandfather was a musician and he had 8 brothers and they were all musicians.
Yeah.
And then their sons have gone on to be musicians. So my uncle, he was the musical director on Good Morning Australia back in the day. Everything. And he, my grandfather back in Italy, my great-grandfather, because we was living on this small island in Italy, like 5,000 people. Yeah. He was the island musician, and he would travel on the boat to the people's houses to perform the Fisharmonica. For their christenings and it's so special. I just think it's so.
I went to his cousin's wedding. His dad's just there sitting like playing bass.
So how come we don't have more of that now?
It's the best.
I don't think that there's something so powerful about live music. And
I grew up with live music. When I turned 17, I was pretty much playing with my dad's band because he needed someone to play an instrument. Goes, I don't have a keyboardist. You have to learn keyboards and you have to come play with me. And I'm like, okay, here's 30 songs. You got 2 weeks. I'm like, okay. He did a lot of that. He threw us in deep end.
Music's definitely helped with business though. Like business, entrepreneurship is creative. The creative skill behind the decisions that you make to build your business and how you navigate it through adversity. And certainly most musicians go through adversity.
Yes.
We certainly have. And I think, it's something that just it's a massive advantage. I always if I see when we're hiring people who played sport or have like a creative background or are immigrants,
Yes.
or there's any sort of sign that they've had it tough at some point,
Yes.
that's a massive advantage.
That's such a good point. Like I think that again, going back to my industry, because lawyers, there's like lots of hours involved, and they can often become quite confined to what they're doing in the work. And the best lawyers, and this all translates to other industries, are well-rounded people. They're people that have other things going on in their life, and that's why I think that going back to the COVID issue and socialising of, I mean, even that in itself, it allowed for people to be more part of their family than they otherwise would, and hobbies and interests, and it just makes for a more fulfilled person, which then makes for a more effective work that they're doing. I think there's something really powerful about that, and I think the culture's starting to shift a bit where employers, especially progressive employers, are starting to appreciate that more. And it's not just about, all right, this is the job that we want to hire you to do. It's like, well, what else have you got going on in your life?
Absolutely. What are the plans for the next few years for the business?
So to expand, So we're being a litigation focused firm. We can take instructions for a broad range of matters, and some cases can be quite intensive, and they can go for years. Some cases can go for years and years, and they can be very document heavy. And so, because litigation, you can settle a case at any given time as well. You might, if we do our job as good as what we do, we are there to promote a settlement, early settlements and so forth.
So that through a 6 year
litigation that battle, and so we're sort of at this. So the strategy is that we will build the firm and our talent base so that we have adequate resourcing to be able to cater for more and more as it comes in.
Right.
At the moment, I'd say we have 10 of us, but there's only a certain amount of cases that you can deal with. So it's all just about expanding, growing.
Similar to us, we're selling hours same way.
Exactly.
You got to have the people there to take the work.
Exactly.
But you don't want to have too many, because then you're paying people for nothing. But at the same time, you got to be ready.
Absolutely, So you on an hourly, you charge out on an hourly.
It's a project. It's project based. You got to have the capacity to take the project. Right? You can't find people that quickly.
Exactly right. So it's all about networks, and that's one good thing. And that, because I have worked in private practice for so long, and going back to the flexibility issue again, COVID, there's plenty of
talent.
You get plenty of talent out there that want to have that level of flexibility, and they want to they might be called on for a particular project or a consultancy basis and that sort of thing. So we've been doing a bit of that. It's about thinking outside of the traditional model. My business partner, my co-founder, as I said, he's actually moved part-time to Noosa. He's got himself a pad there. He's become a lifeguard.
Wow.
And he's a feisty, aggressive litigator. But he will literally go to the beach and be in his zen mood, with his life gear guard on, and then he'll come back and he'll pop on the outfit and he's in the courtroom virtually. So, and it's just, he can do that in 1 hour after the other hour sort of thing, and then he can come back to Melbourne. And then when he comes to Melbourne, I'll go and live in his pad in Noosa. No, I did do that earlier this year. It's just, whereas, and for someone like him that's been a lawyer for 40-something years, he's mind blown. Because he's how am I doing this?
How is this possible? How is this even an option?
Whereas for me, I'm this
is what should be.
This is how it should be. Exactly. So it's sort of a different mentality. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's good that he's open, because, it's very hard to find someone in the industry for so long to change their ways.
True. He's super smart in the sense that he realised that he actually wanted to go travelling. Like he, worked for so many years.
Yeah.
Like my time's come, I'm going to go travelling the world. And he did do a bit of travel, but then COVID hit.
Yeah.
He was going to go to Portugal and do a walk there, but he ultimately went, okay, well now this is the way the cards. That's right.
Yeah.
And I want to keep my mind stimulated.
Yes.
I don't want to, you know that. When you stop work altogether.
Yeah, no.
And he's a fit guy. He wants to keep himself fit physically, but he wants to keep himself fit mentally as well.
Yeah.
And he's actually loving it to the point that I initially thought like he can do more of the, high level strategy work and I'll do more of it. This is when we first started. And as it's worked out, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I've got him, he's like, damn, I'm only going to the beach and back. I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, that's right. So he's loving it. And
Yeah.
I've been doing more of the strategy work and more around the infrastructure setup and employment. I mean,
Operations.
what do you guys think about the operation side of being an entrepreneur? It's time consuming, isn't it? But that's where you need to have people that you can delegate to. And like we have a practice manager now that
Documenting helps, I think.
Yeah, we've got pretty thorough documents and knowledge bases.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's a never-ending struggle, and as you grow and you're trying to get away from the day-to-day, more work happens, so you need good people in place to sort of, I always like to say that the managers work for the people that report to them
Yes.
to make their job easier, right? So
Yes.
as more people come on, you need more of those people, but you don't want to create this hierarchy. It's just, look, there are so many different ways to run a business. Who's to really say what the right way is? It's just, we've sort of learned, and especially I, as a CEO of the business, have sort of learned from trying a few different things and being able to, having, luckily the ability, one of my few talents is that I can read people pretty well.
Yeah,
and understand what I'm
intuition.
seeing.
Yeah.
So we adjust accordingly and sort of, you can sort of tell if you're doing it long enough and people aren't unhappy or and I check in often.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, next week I've booked in all of our quarterly catch-ups that I do with the team.
That's
so
good.
It's
I mean, it's not that hard.
yeah,
If
it's
you,
like there's
if
1,000 people in the business. There's only 15, 16 of us. So.
But it's interesting that you raised the point of you being quite intuitive because what also something that came out of my years working at sort of private practice firms was that people in management positions are not always that good at being people
Because
management.
they're playing defense.
And
they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about protecting the job.
And it's
Especially in that environment.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone needs to. I think that's one of the most key elements to a leadership role is just being empathetic and being able to be intuitive and read people. And sometimes people don't even know what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Like you sort of know
You
before
gotta
they
see
might
patterns.
know. Yeah.
100%.
And it's not that hard if you have the talent
If
yourself.
it's there.
If it's
I was
there,
never like that.
Yeah.
I was a bit of a prick.
So how did you transform yourself to what opened your
Bit more self-awareness. Practice.
Yeah.
Lots of Gary Vee content.
Putting up with me.
Yeah. I don't get anyone mad.
I know.
On that note, actually, we have, I don't know what it's called now. Lightning round.
It's a
What's
lightning.
it called, Paul? Friday Quickfire.
Friday quick
Oh,
fire.
what's
But before that,
Yeah.
I would like to get 3 tips from you
Yes.
to mums out there
Yes.
that will incentivize them to take that leap.
To take that leap. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. First one, follow your gut instinct.
Yeah.
That's my biggest one.
I'm all about that.
Because if you don't back yourself,
Yeah.
no one else will back you.
Yeah.
You have to. And the next one would be to speak up. Don't be, culturally within organisations and the way that the dynamics work around the board table and all of this sort of thing. There's this kind of, it is still unconscious bias. There these, this is what you're here to do. This is what we're here to do. No, if you believe in something,
There's a way to deliver it though without getting fired.
Yeah.
Absolutely, agree, absolutely. But we need to sort of break through
100%.
those barriers. Like if you're employed to do a role, you should be able to perform that role without being exposed to, this is what I was talking about before with that sort of harassment, gender bias sort of issues. And I think I mean, we could only watch the media and it's all, it's still so prevalent in Australian organisations. So that's important. And I think that we are seeing a bit of a shift now. But can't hide anymore. Misogynistic sort of behaviour, and it's still not easy exactly. You want to protect your position, you want to protect your role and all that, but there is more exposure out that women now have more of a voice. And so that next tip was,
and you'll be supported more by the right people, especially the right males in the business that otherwise might have turned the other cheek previously. You certainly have more support. Yeah,
absolutely. And then the third one would probably be work hard, because that's what it takes. It's like especially as a mum. Mums, my experience in hiring mums has been there is no more of an efficient employee than a mum, because they bloody know how to manage time, because they have to be at that time, they have to know what and organisation levels are superior. But it comes bloody hard work. And so, it's not, it just is what it is. And and I sort of think that if you've got the opportunity to, if you choose to, of course, many mums want to be with their children and take that time out of the workforce to not have to even think about work when they've had a baby. And so they should. I mean, there's no more a blessing than having a child. But to me, it's all about the choice. And for, I had worked too hard to just walk away from it. I'm like, I'm not going to walk away from this and then have to, come back and effectively what would have happened was I would have had to start from scratch because my practice wouldn't have been there, et cetera, et cetera. But my absolute biggest one is back yourself. Since I've done that, I've just been overwhelmed with support, and it's awesome. It's such a good feeling because, all of the cases coming my way and, and the reality is that, we can perform and produce results that are far superior than what the big establishments can necessarily produce. And so, you just got to have that confidence in yourself, and off you go.
Awesome. So we've got a little round called Friday. What is it? Quick fries?
Quick fries?
Quick fires.
Quick fire, okay. It's just like a question.
So I'm going to ask you a set of questions. You have to answer really quickly.
Okay.
What is your biggest source of motivation?
Oh gosh, quickly. Can I say empowerment? It's that empowering feeling that keeps me going.
Great. What is the most recent lesson you've learned?
Sorry, going back to the first tip, back yourself. Absolutely.
Where do you see yourself in 25 years?
25 years, geez, what? I'm kind of picturing myself in the Mediterranean. I'm lying in the sun somewhere.
Sex in the City stars, in the...
Yeah, something like that. I'm listening to some great music.
Awesome.
And live music.
And
I'm lying somewhere and I'm quite tanned and just, that's my ultimate,
Nice. Awesome. Which celebrity really annoys you the most?
Really annoys me the most? Delta Goodrem. Annoys the shit out of me.
And what is your favourite colour and why?
I'd say bright colours, pink. I love my pinks. But I'm all about bright vibrance, being a lawyer, going into the courtroom, they're all black, they're all in black suits. Not about that.
Legally blonde.
Legally blonde, red, power colour. I like red as well.
Awesome. And what is a recent trend that you don't like or you don't understand?
Recent trend that I don't understand. Okay. Recent trend that I don't understand.
Like mullets, dancing, TikTok, mullets.
That's what I'm trying to think of something that
beards.
Yeah, I'm not too. I often don't like.
Not phased by
Bitcoin.
trends.
No, not Bitcoin. That's not. I'm just trying to
Sort of
think of
trend,
what
right?
really
Oh,
annoys
I'm just,
me.
I know. I'm just.
What really annoys me? I find public transport annoying, but that's not a trend. That's not a trend, I know. But it's like, why is it that when you get into a tram, they're all bloody standing at the door? Can people not move up the tram to allow? Sorry, guys, that's just my little.
You know what it is? It's because all their mic are low. They have no.
And then you'll be able to hold
yeah,
on.
they'll be able to get off straight away. Sorry, I did that. Busted. I did that. I was like, oh, no.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.